Hello, my name is Amanda Matson, and I am making more videos for statistics. We are talking about shading in the area between what should we call it? Two values in a density graph. So if I come over here, you should now see a window that's got my screen on it that's got Posit.Cloud because I like using Posit.Cloud for these things. And today happens to be Friday. I've got my data chosen to be land temperatures, and I'm caring about the average temperature. Anytime I'm doing programming in R, I like to start on a gray block and make sure that I've chosen the right format for my data. And so when I typed it in like that, I got the exact phrase that I wanted to put in up here. That will help me later as I'm putting things in below. It's like, how is this? What kind of formatting do I have? Especially when you have things like periods and spaces. Anyway, so I'm using ggplot. So if you don't have that library, make sure you have ggplot and tidyverse. I'm taking my land temperatures data set because I have it over here somewhere. There's my L's land temperature. I'm pushing it into ggplot. I'm picking the average temperature column from there. This data set works really well with a bin width of 1. And I am going to plot it. So step 1, plot the original. Step 2, plot a subset. And so this subset takes a filter to take a smaller subset of the bigger data set. And so I'm filtering land temperatures, and I want everything between an average temperature of -5 and 20. I whimsically chose -5 and 20. Maybe I want something like 15 and 25, like whatever. And I'm going to pick fill equals green because I'm feeling like green is a good color right now. And then I hit play and scroll down and I get a histogram with some shading, which is kind of cool. I like density functions better because they're smoother and prettier. Like histograms have their place. I like histograms, but I want to play with the density function. In order to get the shading to work right, I have to take the density function and separate it out from the graph so that the shading happens based on that density function. And so I'm making a new thing called dense. And this is that same copy and paste from above, land temperatures, average temperature. So whatever your data is, put it there, data set and column. And we're pushing that into the density function in R. R has a density function built in. It will save the density into something called dense. And now I need to make it a data frame so that I can put things into ggplot. And so I'm making something new. I'm calling it dense data, and it's going to be a data frame where I'm calling it average for average temp and proportion, right? Because your density is a proportion of like how much of your data are where. The density function up here gave me an X and a Y variable. And so that's where these X and Y's come from. It was from the density function. So you don't mess with the dense Y, don't mess with the dense X, but you do get to rename average temp to be whatever makes sense. Maybe I want it to be all the way out as average temperature, but that's kind of a lot to type, which is why I called it just average temp. And then I take these dense data, put that into a ggplot, and the X value is average temp, and the Y value is the proportion. And I'm going to make a line, which essentially plots the proportion per average value. And then I'm going to fill in the area underneath that line between an average temperature of -5 and 20. I think I changed that above to 15 and 25. So I'm going to change this one to 15 and 25. So like whatever numbers you picked, put them there too. And then go on green right now. So I'm going to change that to green and hit play. And this time I get a smoother picture, right? I had a histogram before. Now I've got this smooth function. The next one is a cumulative density function. And so this looks very similar to before. Last time with dense, it was dense equals this thing goes to density. Now I've got C dense for cumulative density, and I'm sending it into the empirical cumulative density function. But this part here is where you do your data in column like you've done before. And so this is my cumulative dense data, again, making it a data frame. The first column in my data frame is my average temperature, which is the same thing from before, right? Land temperature, average temperature. And then my same variable here, but I put a C in front of it for cumulative. And so I'm going to take C dense of this land temperature's average temperature. So this makes a data frame that's got two columns. And then the C dense data gets put into ggplot, where the X coordinate is your average temperature and your Y coordinate is your cumulative density. And like above, I'm making a line from the cumulative density, and I'm going to fill in the area between 15, 25. The only thing that's new here is that I've got a position equals dodge. Sometimes R gets confused and it tries, like it says, these two things have the same value and I don't know what to do with it. And I say, it's okay, just put them next to each other and we'll live. And I hit play and I get this glorious cumulative density function. And so my 15 and 25 are down here, and then I can run across, hey, that's right on the line. So this will be what, 37.5% of my data are at or below 15. And then this one up here, I've got maybe that 70% of my data are at or below 25. Like I can see that from my cumulative density, and I couldn't see that from my density function. So that's how I shade between different sections for different kinds of graphs. All right, that's everything. All right, have a good day.